Well, hi there, and welcome to episode 6 of The Evidence, our year-end review. This is your buddy Dave. This is Mars X3D. And if you're new here, welcome aboard. We're delighted to have you, and we hope you will take the time to join the rest of us proud weirdos who have acquired a superpower called X3D viewing. There's a link down below where you can learn it in just a couple minutes. And it is very, very intriguing when you finally get it, because it literally opens a new world to your eyes and to your mind. We find everywhere on Mars pyramids and pyramidal structures, what are called pyramidions, which were capstones. The Egyptians called them Ben stones, and these would go on top of an obelisk or a tomb or some other structure. But and of course on the large pyramids themselves had a separate stone often that was designed to be the capstone in any case. This is our best evidence of pyramids and Ben stones that we've found over the past year. We hope you enjoy it. Here's another offering from Sarah Runcie. And, gosh, I wish we had metrics for the mass cam so we could tell how far away this thing is. It could be 50 feet. It could be 50 yards. We just don't know. But I get the impression that it's a fair distance away and that it's below the ridgeline. So let's take a closer look. So this is pretty clean. It really does look like a pyramid shape anyway. The angles are absolutely even. It appears to be having some kind of beading effect along the right edge and down the center, and there's that keyhole slot that seems to be in the middle. I don't know what that's about, but you take a look at the boulder down in the center front, and that does appear to have carving on it, and then you have that rock to the left of the pyramid that's a kind of a rhombus and a it really looks like a shaped block. That round block between them, that could be just a mound or a boulder. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I'm just thinking that this again is the remains of a ruined complex of some kind. Well, we sure keep finding pyramids on Mars, don't we? How can we ignore this pointy pyramid shape poking up over the edge of a distant dune? To my eye, the parallax indicates this shape is well beyond the dune in front of us, that it's much larger and taller than the tip of the iceberg we're seeing here. We're going to have to get blurry in this next one, but we can't just leave it here. This is interesting. Definitely non-fractal. And we have what appears to be a capstone and even a hemisphere on the right side catching the sunlight. Once again, a crappy low-res image that nevertheless allows the mathematics to shine on through. And we'll wrap things up today with something I found back in 2017 out of Curiosity 1448. And Rami liked it so much that he processed it himself, and he did credit me down there at the bottom. I appreciate that, Rami. Thank you. But what's interesting to me in 3D is that there appears to be a rectangular white building on top of the pyramid, and then there's that very obvious triangular portion with what could be steps going in, more likely ranks of stone. But again, one of the very, very many pyramids we have discovered on Mars. People often complain that the images we share are blurry, and they don't understand why we don't offer crystal clear images like they take with their camera phones. Well, here's one reason. What we're looking for here The arrow is pointing at that tiny little dot, and it's got to be a couple 100 yards off. So let's go ahead and sneak up on it and see what it is. And here we have yet another pyramid. This one a step pyramid after the fashion of Mayan pyramids, in particular perhaps the ones at Chichen Itza. You can see the ranks and the steps and the layers and the stones, and look down in front on the right. You see those 1, 2, 3, at least possibly 4 circular openings, and look to the right and to the left. There are other pyramids and structures. I believe this is an entire complex off there on the horizon. And by the way, I've mentioned this before. You want to find anomalies that NASA doesn't copy out or paste out or hide from you. Look at the horizon, because they miss those. And here we have yet another super clean pyramid. If you've been following Mars anomalies for any time at all, you know that we've found countless pyramids and also capstones, or what are called pyramidions. In ancient Egypt, they were called Ben stones. Here's one that Andrew Lane shared with us just this past week. And here we have the classic pyramidion or capstone shape. And this one appears to have, well, windows at the bottom. I'm sure there's more of it that's buried that they're not really able to see at this point, but let's move in a little bit and get blurry. Despite the blurriness, we can see nice clean lines and non-fractal angles, which label this as an artifact. Let's take a look at a few more that we've discovered over the years, and I'm just going to let them play and have a look. Here is yet another pyramidium, or what we call a capstone that would grace the top of a pyramid or an obelisk. We have found so many of these on the surface of Mars, and here's another one that Percy turned up in 402. Once again, we have those wonderful 4K high-resolution full-color stereo cameras of Percy's Z-cams. And they don't even begin to match the quality of the cell phone in your pocket. Regardless, here it is, easy to see, clear, non-fractal angles with a circle carved into the left side. And while we're on the subject of pyramidiums, let's wrap things up with something Rami found. Hard to classify this. It sure does seem to have non-fractal angles and that spade-shaped bit on the front. Who knows? This is from Spirit. It's an old one. And this is a one that when you click on the link, it leads you to a 360 panorama that Nev did that's just spectacular. In fact, I'm going to be going back and checking that out in detail myself. Here's an old find of mine where I went back and redid the 3D processing. Even in this context view, you can see what looks like a cave off in the distance. Now, bear in mind that this is Curiosity's left mass cam. It's low res. And when we zoom in, it's going to get pretty blurry. But if you're a true proud weirdo, the 3D will pop for you, and there should be no problem. As we get closer, the structural aspects begin to get more clear. I wanted you to have a look at this medium distance image before we zoom all the way in and do the 10th shot of tequila blur. I'm going to give you a few seconds to acclimate to the blurriness and also maybe pick out for yourselves what's strange here before I spoon feed it to you. Okay, bibs on, and here comes the spoon. First, we have two clear openings into the cliff, or at least they appear to be openings. The one on the right has what looks like a hollow square in front of the opening. The one on the left, well, those could be just shadows from projecting rocks on the cliff face, but it's also possible that's another cave opening. To the top right of the main cave, we discover a square tower, which appears to have a recessed side facing us. And to the right of that, something that appears to be the facade of a building, complete with a dome on top. Its color is certainly different from the surrounding material. Far off in the distance, what might be a step pyramid on the right. See the square shapes of light and shadow? Then, on the left, what appears to be a flat-roofed building with square openings. I realize that for most people these things aren't readily apparent, but when your eyes become trained to non-fractal geometry, and by the way, that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, is train people to see this way, well, suddenly stuff starts popping out all over. This next one, though, doesn't take any special abilities to see. How about that huge, gorgeous pyramid off there in the distance? Let's go over there and take a look. Isn't that beautiful? As you look around with an archaeologist's eye, you can see that the surrounding plain is littered with artifacts and structures. It'll be an absolute treasure trove for the first exoarchaeologists to dig there. This pyramid reminds me of the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan down in Mexico. They both have that mass and the central structure on one face. And by the way, I climbed the Pyramid of the Sun back in the day. I'd probably throw up my heart if I tried it nowadays. Coming up next, episode 7, the non-fractal proof. Things that I think prove that there's intelligent agency on Mars. Until then, be well.